What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me today is Luis Barranco with a fresh chop and his favorite tie-dye shirt. Luis, how's the week? How you doing?
I mean, I needed a haircut. I texted my barber last week, and he literally is like, "Oh, I thought you moved or something happened to you," because I had not gone to the barber shop in 2 months.
But yeah, it was getting long, and I noticed it. I feel like I don't really notice when people get haircuts, but I definitely noticed it today. So
no, it looked like a helmet. My bad. It like a helmet. I was definitely rocking the hats, doing an Armand, except not Baltimore Orioles hat, just rocking the hats. Tie-dye shirt's back. I don't know. We've worn this shirt I don't know how many times. I'm at home today. I was up late last night watching the Ryan Garcia Haney fight, which was great. I don't know if you watched that. It was the Blaze on social media.
You know that I'm not a UFC guy.
It's not UFC. What you see? You assume. You see?
Was it boxing?
Yes.
Was it boxing? I didn't even. Yes. I don't even know who those people are. Ryan who?
Garcia.
See,
it was all over social media this morning. It was hilarious. The fight was hilarious.
Was it a real boxing match, or was it one of those celebrity boxing matches?
These are real dudes. I don't know. Are you familiar with Gervonta Davis?
Yeah.
Him and Garcia fought last year, and Garcia got knocked out to a liver punch, and then Haney was 30-0 till he got knocked out last night. He was knocked on the canvas 3 times last night, and it was very interesting. If you ever want some entertainment, just go look at his Twitter page, Ryan Garcia's Twitter page and social media. It's definitely interesting.
Okay, I can't say I know too much about it. It sounds like it could be stuff that we don't want to talk about on the podcast.
No, it's definitely one of those people that does not like whatever's on his mind. He will put on his social media. Like,
okay,
yeah, that is so maybe a little bit ideology, but he'll just post a picture of him. Oh, I just weighed in. Like, what are those? You remember when like social media first started? And people were like, "Oh yeah, I just had a freaking burrito at Chipotle at 9:48 at night."
Some of the best old content from that is LeBron. Old IG.
But I mean, it's very interesting. I think in 20 years when we look at like social media as like how it's going to evolve and how looking back, I mean, it happens to like now. I think social media is only like 10 years old at this point. Or right around 10 to 15?
Nah, 15, yeah.
Well, if you look at people like, that had it OG-wise, like talking like really, really early days to now, it's very interesting to see how social media has changed.
Yeah. Instagram, for example, launched in 2010, so 14 years ago.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I was actually having this conversation at the pool yesterday, how everything's changing technology-wise and AI. That's going to be very interesting, and maybe we can implement it in sports. I mean, today, yes. I don't know if you watched El Clasico today, which is
Barcelona. I did not.
With Madrid. La Liga does a really good job with their technology base. But other than that, weekend's been pretty chill. I don't know. Weather's great. I definitely I'm gonna hear it tomorrow because I did talk a lot of smoke about that Chicago sports would go undefeated this weekend, and of course they end up letting me down as I had the Marlins losing the series versus the Cubs. I had the Cubs winning at least 3 out of 4 this weekend, and I had the Heat losing to the Bulls on Friday night, but it was a freaking blowout. And here I am looking like a clown. And when we talk about our Bet the Glory series, of course, it happens at the Guardians, split the series this week.
Yes. No, they lost 3. The Red Sox lost 3 or 4 in that series.
Well, there you go. But they lost the Monday game, which I thought Monday was like the biggest slam dunk game that they were going to win. And of course, they ended up blowing it. So it is what it is. We're here to talk baseball today. I know you do not. I know it looks pretty cold over in Chicago today.
No, it's nice. 50's got a nice run in this morning. So yeah, no, it's been good. And fun pod scheduled today. Fun pod going today. We're gonna review the week. We got the Mets playing really good ball. Mariners are getting right. Astros, they're struggling still. We're going to talk through some guys that are having under the radar seasons that are really producing for their teams and helping contribute, to pick up some wins. And we're going to go through injuries, team of the week, and then we're going to do our obviously bet the glory segment, which I have gotten off to a good start. Luis, not as much, but there's a long season ahead, so plenty of time for you to I guess get back in the race. And then we'll talk about the week ahead and some of the series that we're looking forward to next week.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk
about the week. Yeah.
So what did you tune into this week?
Well, outside of the Yankees, which we obviously I talked about on Wednesday. I watched a lot of the Mets-Dodgers series this weekend. Saturday's game was really fun. Today, not as much. Dodgers won big, but I've been fascinated by this Mets team because they came into the season with low expectations, and the narrative from everybody outside of the club seemed to be they're in a rebuild year. It's kind of a punt year. They signed a bunch of guys, veteran guys, to like 1-year deals. And if they make a run, good. If they don't, their eyes are on next season. And I mean, they started out 0-5, which was a nightmare scenario, but they've gone 12-4 since. They swept Pittsburgh this week and then won 2 out of 3 in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. And I've been really impressed with kind of what they've been putting out there on the field. And the pitching's been good. It seems like everybody is hitting except Francisco Lindor at this point in the season. And I don't know, for me, the narrative around them has really changed, and they could be pushing for that last wild card spot in the National League.
So you've completely flipped and now are coming on my ends of the spectrum, in the sense that I felt like they could be an 81 plus win team, that they could be a wild card team this year.
Yeah, the talent's there. I mean, and they have a bunch of guys that are playing for contracts. I mean, you also look at, a guy in Pete Alonso that was in trade rumors a lot heading into the season. 6 home runs with a 130 OPS plus, 820 OPS on the season.
Talk about it.
I mean, I don't think he's going to get traded. I think the Mets need to re-sign this guy. He's one of the best power bats in the league.
He is the best power bat in the league. We can go to – what does that dude do in BP? What does he do in BP?
I can't say I'm too locked in on his
oh my God. We were at his BP last year. You don't remember, for Team USA?
Oh, I mean, yeah, he hits nukes. I didn't know if he had like a specific strategy or anything you were getting at there.
I mean, I'm not his hitting coach. I'm not I think that would be a big mistake, because my MLB The Show numbers are quite terrible. I have really bad plate discipline, very bad eye. But regardless of the fact, I've always been on this team for the fact that they have really good players. I don't want to say really good, because I think really good players, there's only a couple of them, but I feel like they have above average guys and guys that have been very productive MLBers. So it's just been that, pitching's been a question with all these guys, and then just health. And I kind of feel like they're getting a lot of help right now because, it's warming up. Well, in parentheses, I'm watching the Atlanta game in the background, and they're all wearing jackets in Atlanta. So it's warming up. And so I kind of feel like as we get into those summer months, they're going to start hitting. And I kind of feel like a lot of these teams, that I kind of feel like they'll be a subject to talk about for a pod next week or in a couple weeks, about how I feel like the NL as a collective has been very underwhelming. The West has been very underwhelming outside of very underwhelming. We'll just say the whole West has been very underwhelming.
The Dodgers have not been playing good baseball. They're 13-11, 3-7 in their last 10. So they've been struggling.
Well, the thing about the Dodgers is like they have like, I don't want to say they've had a difficult schedule, but they've also had a lot of travel involved. They've been getting all the East Coast. Like, how many night games have we had in the year? There's been like 4 weekends of ball, and out of the 4 weekends, I've only think they've had like 2 weekend series at home.
So they've had St. Louis at home. They've had San Diego at home, and then the Mets this weekend at home. So they've had 3, but they have done trips to Chicago and Minnesota. They've actually obviously that Korea series, put a lot of miles on them, but they're about to go on the road for a while. They're on the road for all of this week and then the first series of next week. So
they're going to Toronto.
Yeah.
So that'll be very interesting. And so the whole fact of the Mets is, I just kind of feel like they're in a really good spot because I feel like they were a team that everybody thought was just going to be really not bad, but not as great. Mm-hmm. So with the NL West being weak, the NL Central is also like it's doing its typical Central, circle of life where everybody's like 500. And then, in the East, the Marlins haven't been great. And then the only team that's been above expectations is the Nationals.
And they're a game under 500.
They're a game under 500, and they've played series with like Oakland and who else? I know they played Oakland, and I know they had somebody else that they played.
I got to tip my cap to them. They won 2 out of 3 against. Yeah, they had a good week. They won 2 out of 3 against Houston and LA. Yeah, they played Oakland and Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh got off to a hot start. So
that's the thing. That's those Central teams are the circle of life where you never know. Like you expect them to win series, and then they do that. Like that's just both ends of the spectrum. And so, regardless, I really do like what the Mets are doing, and I kind of feel like they're going to be in a weird spot at the deadline. And I tend to believe that they're not going to do anything. Like you're just going to like whatever happens type of vibes with this team.
Yeah, because they don't.
Yeah.
That outside of Pete, which I really don't think they should trade him, they don't have a ton to trade. Now they have the 1-year guys like the Bader and the Severinos of the world, the Manaea. I think Manaea signed a 2-year deal, but they have guys that they signed for 1-year deals that they could theoretically trade at the deadline, but their value is not super high. Although, I mean, whatever Severino and that pitching staff is doing, their coaching staff, he's at a 2.14 ERA through 4 starts, only 5 earned runs with 21 strikeouts. Like he's looked really good. 1.91 ERA plus. Quintana's been good. I watched Adrian Hauser today. He struggled late.
He struggled in that last 4th inning. Yeah,
in that last inning. So, but I still think he's kind of turned a corner a little bit this season. Like, and obviously the pen. I mean, Edwin Diaz came in the 8th inning yesterday against the Dodgers and pitched really well. 4 outs, I believe. Jorge Lopez has been good for them. Drew Smith, Ottavino. Like they're getting production from pretty much everybody in this bullpen. And the lineup is hitting, which, I was down on this lineup. You were down on this lineup last year too, but it just feels like this team has a different vibe this year, where last year, obviously, they were the biggest spenders in the offseason, and there was a ton of expectation, and you're relying on guys like Jeff McNeil and Brett Beatty and Starling Marte to play to really high levels, and they just didn't. And maybe this year it's a little bit easier for those guys when there's just not a ton of pressure on them. There aren't those crazy expectations, and they're kind of just playing free and loose ball. New manager, obviously. I kind of actually like what Carlos Mendoza has been doing over there. So I don't know. The vibe has significantly changed in Queens, and they might be like, I told you on, I think it was last night, that I'm struggling to find like a second team besides the Yankees to watch on .TV. Maybe it's the Mets. Just watch all New York this year.
I mean, the new City Connects, I thought they were garbage, but they've grown on me. They've grown. I mean, we still got a lot of City Connects to go, but I mean, like, there's not much you can do with the Mets if you think about it, with the City Connect type of style. I know it's a little off topic, but
I think the only teams to not have one are the Yankees and the A's, which is the A's aren't going to get one.
The Cardinals are getting theirs in May. I know the Cardinals are getting theirs in May, and I know there's another team that I did read up that they're getting theirs like in the next 2 months.
Is it the Royals? Or do the Royals already have theirs?
The Royals are getting theirs. That's who it is. The Missouri teams are getting theirs.
I think the Royals. Yeah, no, the Royals dropped theirs last year. The Royals dropped theirs. It's that dark.
Oh, yeah. I know what they're talking about. Yeah. But there's 2 teams that are getting City Connects. I know Cardinals are getting theirs 5/20/2024. So like a month from now. And I forgot the other one who is. But regardless of the fact, they're doing great things in Queens, and I just feel at the deadline, I feel like the guy that would move would be like a Starling Marte. and I kind of feel like they're going to be aggressive spenders again.
Next offseason?
Yeah, because the
Yeah,
class is going to be big, and we'll have a foundation of young guys, and oof, man, like I'd be scared. I'd be honestly, and think about it. I want to talk about this topic. Can we just have a moment to? I know we talk about the Yankees, but can we just talk about Juan Soto? Like that dude's savant page is just a fireball of red. It looks like big red that Will Ferrell was doing in Talladega Nights. Shout out Talladega, the races today. But he is a catalyst for that team.
I mean, he is the offense right now. Like, I mean, have you seen what Aaron Judge is doing? Guy couldn't hit the broadside of the
Yeah, he signed with Prime, and look what happens. Everybody that signs with the Prime drinks ends up blowing chunks.
Yeah.
So
no, Soto's got a 1034 OPS with a 337 average, 5 home runs, hit a big one on Friday night against the Rays. And yeah, I mean, it's a sea of red on this savant page.
And the thing is, he understands New York. He's like, because there's been people that come in and out of that clubhouse that don't understand it, and he gets it. I'm looking at him at my television right now. He is at MSG, the nucleus of Yankees. That there's like 5 or 6 Yankees that always go out to these events in New York, to the sporting events. Last night it was Nestor, Gleiber, my guy Clark Schmidt, and who else was it? Nestor, Gleiber.
I think those are
Clark Schmidt and Stroman. They were all at the Knicks game. Wouldn't be surprised if you see them all again tomorrow night.
And and Aaron Judge was not there because he normally is there. Rizzo also likes going, but he's been struggling. So
they might be there tonight. I know Soto. I did read a report, and I did see that he is wearing a Rangers jersey, so he gets it. And I mean, if you're the Steinbrenners, you can't let that man walk. You cannot let that man walk. If you let them walk, I think you have to sell the team. Like it's just gonna start a big issue.
Sorry. Yeah, there will be riots if they don't re-sign Soto. I mean, he's been the offense, so big to re-sign him. That's going to be one of the biggest stories this offseason, obviously, is his free agency. And if he keeps playing the way he does, I mean, probably going to get $500 million. I mean, he's 25 years old in the prime of his career, playing like this every season. Guy's just built different, man.
Can we also put into the mind that he is the AL MVP? Hypothetical right now,
right? Well, I mean, right now, yeah, it's early, but
we're gonna do that. We're gonna next week. We're gonna do the MVP ladder. Our MVP ladder. We're gonna bring that up this year. I tend to think he will be. He needs to be one. I think the only person next to him that has a debate is Bobby Witt.
Yeah, Bobby Witt's up there,
but Bobby Witt's team is not what Yankees 13-5 or 14-5. Something like that.
Something like that. But I mean, I don't put any stock into the team record. If you have a crazy season, you have a crazy season.
Yeah, but Bobby Witt's having a crazy season, and they're not winning. I kind of feel like baseball is one of those games where one. I know not one player makes a difference, but I feel like one guy's having an absurd year, like makes an impact, like a huge impact.
The Royals are 13-9. I mean, they had a rough weekend, losing 2 of 3 against the Orioles, but it's not like they're not. They're not losing. I mean, they're above 500. They're having a good season so far. I would also throw Mike Trout into that ring.
You are I don't understand. You didn't even buy Defense League stocks. Do you want to open up Defense League right now and buy the stocks? Go to the market right now because you are. It's William off air is like, I'll be literally making dinner. I'll be literally in the shower, on the toilet, and he won't text anything about the Yankees. I'll be the one having the Yankee meltdowns. Watching him. I'm not even a Yankees fan. And then out of nowhere, I'll just be on the freaking toilet. Mike Trout. I'm like, dog, he plays on the Angels.
8 home runs? 8 home runs?
Bro, Marcell Ozuna is freaking nuclear right now.
Yeah, he's got it. Yeah, he's got it. I really wish I picked him in fantasy. He's got 8 home runs as well. Yeah.
You really wish he was your fantasy team. And your fantasy team name is Ozuna from the Braves. And your logo is his mugshot.
Thank you for putting that out there into the ether.
It's fine. It's fine. The team names are it's better than Armand's. Armand's. I know Armand's is a lot of the punching joke here in the baseball chat, but Armand's is Albies. We have the bats. Like, how original?
I don't even understand. I don't understand it at
You
all. He
don't get
probably
it?
pulled that off from the internet somewhere.
He pulled it off the internet 100%, but it's coming from heavy. Well, they don't do those ads during sports. But if you watch, if it's a Arby's ad, Arby's.
Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't even put that together. That's embarrassing for him.
But for those listening and not looking at the art, the visual, William just literally put his hand in his face and was like, "What's going on?"
we might have to remove him from the league for that team name.
Hey, there's some bad team names. I mean, this year, some of them we need some refresh because it's the same team names. But regardless, on the note of getting right and getting back to square one, the Mariners had a week. I mean, they cashed out your bet as they swept Cincinnati. I watched a little bit of that series. I just can't get on board with them. I think they're a very hard watch. Like pitching wise, they're great. They're electric. I mean, their arms are doing great. I mean, Luis Castillo had an amazing start last night. He pitched 7 innings against the Rockies at a place where, the ball flies. He went 7 innings of no-run ball, and I think it was like 9 strikeouts last night, which is pretty electric. They're just so hot and cold for me. Where like they'll have a game. I think it was on Monday. Let me pull up their schedule. They played the Reds on Monday, and they put up, I think it was like 7 runs. And then the next game, they only put up like 2. Like they're just scratching the barrel. So on Monday they put up 9. The next day they put up 3. And so that's just really them. And that thing happened last night. Today actually, last night they put up 7. The game was over at the end. Like the announcers, the Rockies broadcast team was talking about golf, like in the 8th inning. And today they're scratching the surface. They have to go to extra innings to get a run. They have to do the ghost. The little run was a ghost runner.
And well, it shouldn't have even gone to extra innings because Jacob Stallings hit a walk-off home run, and the fan the reason, so he hit a home run. It was right over the left fielder Dylan Moore's glove, probably 2-3 feet over the glove, but the fan did make contact with Moore and going to try to catch the ball, and they said that it was fan interference when it was a clear home run. Like Moore was not touching that ball. He was not getting anywhere close. If the fan wasn't there, Moore doesn't catch that ball. It went to extra innings. They called him out on that play and went to extra innings, and the Rockies won, deservedly so. But yeah, I think I don't like. Yes, they had a great week, sweeping the Reds. They've won the first. They split the first 2 against Colorado, and they're playing right now in the rubber match of that series. But I agree with you, and the biggest thing for me with Seattle is if Julio isn't playing like at a crazy MVP caliber pace, that lineup it's not that good. And they're 24th in OPS right now as a team with a 654 OPS. It's not striking fear into your heart. I mean, their best hitter so far this season is probably been Josh Rojas. Now he's only played 13 games, but he's got an 871 OPS. Outside of him, like Cal Raleigh, their catcher, the big dumper. He's got 4 home runs. Julio, now he did get hot this week. He's kind of turning things around, but he's only got a 596 OPS right now with an 80 OPS plus. He's not playing to that caliber right now.
What's his slugging? Because I was looking at his numbers because I did Team of the Week this week, and it was just like slugging was low. When you look at his whole OPS, I think it was very low, and I'm just like
295 slug.
With that team, it's just like they don't. They remind me a lot of what the Yankees did. It's just like, okay, we'll just add a piece to the offense and hopefully it works. And they don't fix the problem. They expect guys like Ty France to go back to all-star form. What's his name is doing that. And oh my God, I'm sorry. I have to cut this podcast because Ozuna just went yard. Holy crap.
So what's that, 9 on the season so far for Ozuna?
He just went to right center, like dead right center. Oh my God. That was 416 at an exit velo 108. 3-run home run. Oh boy. He just did the Jazz Chisholm Euro step. Jesus. Like he's no doubt. Absurd.
He's playing out of his mind.
Oh boy. But you see, Well, I don't. Gee, sorry. I'm looking at the replay from the up view. Sorry, guys. This is really absurd. He hit it out to the bullpen in right center. Sheesh. But back on the Mariners, they really don't do anything to fix the bats. Last year, when we went into the season last year, their biggest acquisition was who did they pay in the outfield? They let Haniger walk, and their only acquisition was I forgot what's his name. Oh, they got Eugenio Suarez. I think it was.
No. They got him. He was on the team for a few years before last. You mean heading into this season? They're
Last because then last year they didn't do enough, and we were very hard on them. And then this year, what they did was like they got Jorge Polanco, which I was mixed on from the jump, and I feel that Oswaldo Cabrera or Jorge Polanco debate needs to be revisited real soon. And
I mean, Oswaldo's winning that debate right now, but it is April 21st.
And then there's Mitch Haniger, who Mitch Haniger, when he was that year before he got the bag with San Francisco, was a pretty good player. I don't think he was an all-star, but you could have made a case for him to be one of the all-star backup outfielders for the AL that year. And so they're pretty much just hoping guys like Haniger and Polanco go back to their absurd forms like whenever they were in their first stint or with their old team, and they don't do anything else. And then they got Garver, which Garver's good, but he's a thumper. Like they don't have any guys that are going to get on base. They don't have a lot of team speed. They quit on the Kelnick project. And of course, as I saw and I thought, he goes to Atlanta. Atlanta fixed him up and he's hitting 300, close to 300, a little bit over 300, right on the edge, hitting a platoon role. So I just really can't get behind this team. I was very high on them. I just can't get behind the team.
And this was supposed to be a positive Mariners segment because they have been playing good ball. But yeah, when you deep dive into it, like the lineup is just not that scary. Now, the rotation, it is playoff caliber. And right now, they are in first place because of the team we're going to talk about next been struggling so much in Houston. They are, but I think Texas is going to come along. I think ultimately Houston will probably turn things around, and Seattle might be looking at like another wild card spot run for them.
Well, my biggest question is with Seattle, and my biggest question with Seattle is I don't think you can fix that lineup at the deadline. I just don't feel there's going to be useful bats, and their system just so depleted. Which
it's a good system. They have a good farm.
But in hindsight, the system that they did have, you would do. I feel both sides of the Reds Mariners trade with Castillo going to Seattle and the Reds getting the Hosta process. I feel both sides do it because I feel both sides are quite content with the return. Now it's just very depleted, and you're not producing hitters. Like if they're producing arms, their whole rotation is just arms.
You mean their whole team?
Their whole rotation is just their homegrown arms.
Yeah, except Luis Castillo. Yeah.
Which then you pose the question is they still need hitters. Where are you going to go get them? Look at the bad teams in baseball. The A's don't have a hitter that you're going to be able to pop in that lineup.
J.D. Davis.
Maybe.
He's hurt.
But then, is that an upgrade over Johan Rojas?
Not right now. The way he's been one of their best players so far.
Okay.
Josh Rojas.
Josh Rojas. Yeah, I was thinking he had somebody else. Josh Rojas. Okay. Let's go. Maybe Brent Rooker, but then Brent Rooker's similar profile. Like you're looking for different profiles of players. The Rockies. What do the Rockies have that anybody want? Nothing.
Nolan Jones, but he's been struggling, and they're not going to trade him.
Elias Diaz. You already have a catcher. You already have Garver and Raleigh.
Brendan Rodgers.
He's a building block. And then the White Sox. What do you? If you're the Mariners, wouldn't you give a call and try to get Benintendi?
We talk about Benintendi, the guy's falling off a cliff, but no, they don't have a lot to move, man. They don't, and I mean, the farm system's good. Like they're not gonna move Harry Ford though. Cole Young. I mean, they do have two middle infielders in the top 100 of Keith Law's list, and Cole Young and Colt Emerson. They might move one of those guys if they want to go out and get it. One of those guys can get a pretty big return, pretty big like name. If that's kind of what they're going to have to look at if they want to make a trade, because I don't really think there's much on the big league roster that's going to net a return. Now they do have good bullpen guys, but I mean they already traded Paul Sewald last year. Do you really want to move on from the bullpen at this point?
And here I have a hypothetical.
All right,
let's play mock GM. What team has an abundance of prospects right now?
I mean Baltimore, obviously.
Okay. What does Baltimore need?
Arms.
Okay. Where am I going with this? Wouldn't you, if you're Seattle, both ends, I just thought of it. Wouldn't you consider trading one of these three, either Gilbert, Bryce Miller, or Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, and George Kirby? One of those for one of their outfielders and another guy coming soon that they have stashed up, like a Kobe Mayo, stashed up in the minor.
I mean,
because think about it. Their outfield right now is Santander, Cowser, who's absurd right now, and Cedric Mullins. And then they have Austin Hayes too as their fourth outfielder. Which Austin Hayes, I know he's not playing great, but I feel like he could start on most MLB rosters. Their infield is pretty much set with Holiday, which he struggled, but look, he's young. Like you have to let him get experience. Holiday, Westberg, and Mountcastle at first, and they have O'Hearn also at first, and then at third you have Gunner. So there's not enough space to like have all these guys come up. So one team's excess is in the terms of the Mariners, they have an excess in arms, and then the Orioles have an excess in bats.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. We know that the Orioles are going to be active at the deadline trying to get another arm because they definitely feel like they can go out and go win a World Series this year, which they absolutely can. I mean, like you said, Jackson Holiday has not even gotten going. I mean, he does look overmatched, and then maybe like he's one of those guys that dominates AAA, dominates every level of the minor leagues, but maybe just isn't quite ready for the major leagues. And it's only been 20-something at bats, so give the guy time. But he's looked overmatched early on. It's like 20-something at bats with 15 strikeouts, like not good. But yeah, I think that move makes a lot of sense. Seattle, they're not going to win the World Series as currently constructed. They can make the playoffs as currently constructed, but I think they gotta upgrade that lineup because it's not scary. But they are getting right. They are playing good baseball right now.
So who do you sacrifice in a hypothetical?
One of those guys. I mean, I'd ideally like to keep hold of Gilbert, so probably like a Kirby or I mean maybe even an Emerson Hancock, one of their top. I mean, he's struggled,
but I don't think Emerson Hancock gets you anything that's.
Then I'd move Bryce Miller. I mean, I'd move him if that means that you and I know arms are more valuable than bats, but like you said, Seattle has an abundance of arms and they desperately need bats. So you're going to have to give up something good to get a good bat in return. And we know they're not doing anything in free agency. So
Bryce Miller
via the trade.
Bryce Miller is a 2-3 arm. And it's just going to be a question of how the Orioles or how teams rate him. But the thing is that the freaking Mariners have 4 arms that can start in the playoffs. Like, they have 4 guys. You only need 3. Ideally, it's nice to have a 4th. But at the same time, are you really going to waste the prime of Julio? Castillo isn't that young either. So it's just like, you're going to be doing this again and again and again soon. So, and I don't know what their budget looks like from the standpoint of what they're going to spend.
Yeah.
Like, could they recruit free agents? 100% yes, but I don't see them doing that. I feel like they have a lot of bad contracts there. They still have the J.P. Crawford contract, Jorge Polanco, Mitch Haniger, that before they become actual real deal spenders into the market, they're going to have to move on from guys.
And I mean, they're not going to be in the market for the top guys. That's just not. They don't spend money on that level. They're not in LA. They're not in New York. They're just not there.
So yeah, it's interesting. Next team, I want to talk about this team. I feel like we talked about them last week. The Houston Astros, they've struggled. Um, we'll just get down to it. Are you hitting the panic button?
You know, last week I said no, but I'm getting close to thinking it just might be the season from hell from the Astros. 7-16 overall, tough week. They lost 2 of 3 in Washington this weekend, and then they also got swept by Atlanta earlier in the week. We know about their rotation injuries, and Christian Javier just hit the IL as well with a neck problem. He's their 6th starter to spend time on the injured list this season, and joins 4 projected members of the team's rotation on the IL with McCullers, Luis Garcia, Urquidy, and Framber. McCullers and Garcia aren't expected back until after the All-Star break, and Urquidy strained his forearm in spring training and has not proceeded to throw off a mound. So it's not looking good for that rotation. And the guys that have been playing, the hitting is not a problem. They're still 6th in OPS, 4th in batting average, 7th in OBP. I'm not worried about the bats.
Other than Jose Abreu.
Yeah, what a terrible contract that was.
Yeah, this year and next year, I believe, too.
He's one of the few players in baseball that can get away from the White Sox and get worse. Usually it works, you're on a really bad team like the White Sox and you get, you play bad and then you leave and you get better. Like I think of Jake Berger, even Tim Anderson. He's not been great, but he's been better. I mean, what the heck? Jose Abreu was pretty damn good for the White Sox. It was like a pretty high profile signing for Houston, and
Mickey Mouse MVP run.
Mickey Mouse MVP. But I think the biggest thing with Houston, with the guys that are healthy and outside of the rotation injuries, is the bullpen. You obviously signed Hader this offseason.
Oh God.
But he's been a train wreck. 8.38 ERA. The bullpen as a whole has a 5.29 ERA, which is 25th in the big leagues. And with bringing in Hader, yes, that's good for the 9th inning, but he refuses to pitch anything. He does not do 4-out saves. And yes, they have Presley leading up to him in like the setup role, but he's been struggling too.
He blew us.
The middle of the bullpen is a lot weaker than it was when they were winning World Series, and that is a big concern for me because if the rotation's not healthy, which it is not right now, those guys are probably going to struggle, which is what they've been doing. And the bullpen, the long relief guys have not been picking up the slack. And you're just not going to win baseball games like that. It doesn't matter if you have an all-star closer. Like the A's right now, they have a hell of a closer, Mason Miller, one of the best closers in the league. It doesn't matter because the rest of the team can't get guys out, so they're not going to get to him in the first place. Houston's kind of struggling with that right now. I mean, they're 7-16. That's bad. They're almost 10 games under 500. It's very unlike them. And yeah, I'm starting to get close to hitting the panic button with this team.
Funny enough, I was at a pool party yesterday for a cat. Yesterday, a cat
for a cat.
Yeah,
like cat. Like
what?
Like for a cat, like an animal,
like a furry creature. Yeah, 4-legged furry creature, like a cat.
Okay.
Yeah. I was out there and I actually met a guy from Houston, and big Astros guy. He had the Astros World Series hat with the gold.
Yeah,
the trim.
2017 or 2021.
I didn't look at it. I didn't look at the patch on the side, but I knew I had the patch. I didn't get it, but I knew it was a World Series one. So we actually had this conversation, and we both kind of agreed that with the amount of injuries that they've had, they've really started out into a bad start. But I'm not going to hit it because I feel like once they get healthy and the arms get healthy, like you won't have Hunter Brown giving up 9 runs in an inning, 7 to 9 runs.
Yeah.
Like Hunter Brown's going to probably move back into the pen. Like you're going to have your full ensemble of arms there, and you could move one of those guys hypothetically. I don't know if you want to move starting pitching these days. Like as much as like we talked about recently with the Mariners in Baltimore, when you have an excess, I kind of feel like that's going to be the norm. You're going to want to have an excess of starting pitchers with the amount of elbow injuries and shoulder injuries popping up. But like for example. It's a different case in Seattle because they have already really good guys and they have clear deficits. With Houston, the deficit is that they have really good hitting, but their pitching's just been all over the place. And I kind of feel like once they get everybody back, everybody's going to get to a roll, and I feel like it's going to be back to normal. With Hader, I feel like that's something. I feel like the pitching is something concerned with coaching as well. I feel if you go look at some of the numbers, I was looking at Savant the other day, and I looked at a tweet, and I went deep dived, and I didn't save it, but um, when Hader's had his like down seasons, his pitch mix was switched, the percentages, and so in comparison to his down years and to this year, the pitch mix he's been using this year has been very higher than those down years. If you get my drift,
I think so. He's
so,
changed up. His pitch mix has been
changed up two seam and a sinker.
Okay,
right? I believe I don't memorize everybody's pitch. If I did, I'm looking up right now. So
sinker, slider, changeup, yeah.
Yeah. So he's been throwing this year a lot of sinker, slider. So it's been very different to what percentage-wise he was throwing last year. So last year he was throwing the slider at 23%, while this year he's throwing the slider at 30%. The sinker was getting used at over a 73% rate last year. This year it's at 68. So it's very interesting to look at that. And like I said, in 2020, he threw the slider 32% of the time.
Yeah.
And so
he's sinker slider.
And so, yeah, that's been the issues.
But it looks like this year he's been throwing the slider more than he had last year.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I think it's coaching based. Joe Espada is new there. We got to wait. I'm not going to hit panic. I feel like that division's still weak. I feel like they're the Warriors of baseball, that it doesn't matter how they get in, you just don't want to play them.
Well, yeah. Maybe not the best analogy this year because it looks like
not this year, but yeah. But Klay Thompson had the game of death.
Yeah.
So yeah. Other than that, I'm not concerned. But under the radar players, I want you to take it away with this one. Let's go run through this one, and you can go through your guys and talk about how your guys have been doing this year.
You want me to go through all three, and then you can go through yours?
Yeah, and then we can just chat about them. I don't want to drive with advanced stats and everything. Like, we could go advanced stats. We can make it a stat-based podcast. But at the same time, I feel like the listeners would probably tune out by 42 minutes of this podcast.
Well, yeah. Based. I got three guys. Ahmed Rosario, Bryce Terang, and Reed Detmer. So two infielders. Well, Rosario kind of plays everywhere. And then Detmer's the arm from the Angels. Ahmed Rosario. I just picked him up in fantasy.
I know, but I'm kind of mad about that one.
He signed a 1-year, $1.5 million deal with Tampa Bay this year. He was with the Guardians and the Dodgers last year and struggled. Didn't really play much for the Dodgers. Struggled really badly with Cleveland. And of course, he's kind of one of these guys that goes to Tampa Bay and just turns things around. All of a sudden, he's 351 average with an 887 OPS. Also has 3 stolen bases and 2 home runs. And, the strikeout numbers are really good. Only strikes out 14% of the time. Does not whiff 17% of the time. That's really good. 83rd percentile. Hard hit numbers, sweet spot, like the barrel, those are all really good, above average. Expected batting average is actually a bit lower than what he's at right now, 307 versus 351. So maybe he's getting a little bit lucky right now. But he hits the ball well. He plays good defense. He's really fast. I mean, 95th percentile in sprint speed. The defense is not good, not great, not bad though. Yeah, he's really turned around. He's kind of Swiss Army knife for them, plays everywhere. So I've been impressed by him. Second guy that I've been impressed by that has definitely been flying under the radar. And honestly, I think this entire team is Bryce Terang, like I mentioned. He's hitting 333 with an 884 OPS. He's tied for first in stolen bases with 10, 97th percentile in sprint speed. Doesn't strike out, only 13th percentile in strikeouts. Whiff rate is elite, 10%. And this is a guy that I saw play in Wrigley last year, and I was like, this guy plays a really good second base. If he can kind of just get the bat going, and he has, and he's good defensive second baseman, and he's been playing good offensively this year, and that whole team, man, they're first place in the Central right now. You got guys like Willie Adames, his counterpart in the middle infield, having good seasons. So I've been impressed by Terang as well. And then my last guy is Detmers, the Angels left-handed starter. And he kind of fits the mold of pitchers that I like now. It's not like super high velo, but he mixes pitches, has a good pitch mix. He's fastball, slider, change, curve, very basic pitch mix, but he doesn't throw super hard, only averages 94 on the fastball. And he has a 1.19 ERA through 22 innings pitched. He's currently tied for third in WAR, Fangraphs WAR, with a 1.0 amongst pitchers. 34.9% strikeout rate is elite. And he's a mix of a ground ball and fly ball pitcher. So, I mean, dude's been really good for not a good team, but Ron Washington's at least kind of changed the vibe in LA. He's not going to let them, not care or not try. So Detmers has been a kind of a shining light for a team that's just kind of going to, I think will probably end up floating around 70 to 75 wins this year. But Detmers has been really good for them. He's pre-arbitration right now, so I just really don't think they move him, and they refuse to trade anybody in LA.
His stuff has been always regarded as one of the best stuff in the ball. It's always been a command thing.
Yeah, and he's in year 4 now, and maybe he's finally figuring things out.
Yeah, no, I like the guys. I mean, Rosario is one of those guys that kind of just was one of those late signers in camp.
Yeah,
Terang's pretty good. He runs really well. And, Detmers, like I said, he's been a guy on my radar since last year, but I've just kind of faded the whole Angels team in general. Like I watched them today, and there's just like no aura. It's just literally guys that like first rounders, like collective first rounders that not only say didn't make it, but just like collective first rounders that didn't pan out to their ability. Mickey Moniak, Zach Neto, Nolan Shano hasn't been great with batting average wise. He gets on base, but batting average not great.
Dude, not great. It's been really bad. They did a disservice to him by calling him up so quick. And Neto is still really young. So
yeah, they're all young, and then the only one's Logan O'Hoppe. But I mean,
he's been good.
Am I watching Angels games? No, I'm not watching Angels games. I'm not staying up at 10 o'clock to watch Angels games. I'll watch Padres, Arizona, as much as I hate Chase Field. I'll watch Giants games, Dodgers games, Seattle. But if it's Colorado or Angels games, count me out. The only thing going for them this year, and I know I'm crapping on that whole team, other than Detmers, is that I did see on their Instagram reel that their food does look pretty good.
The food does look good. It wasn't good when we were there, but it does look good now.
They don't have ribeyes, but they definitely have some floats.
Yeah, your favorite. But nothing compares to the White Sox campfire milkshake, which I gotta get to. I gotta have that.
Yeah, maybe if I make it up there before the season's end and with a bulletproof vest. I'm not trying to get shot up in the stadium.
Well, yeah, I mean, someone did that happen.
It did happen. I'm not relax. Okay, it did happen. I think it was June 12th in left center field. Let's relax.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Who are your guys?
I got 3. I got collection of guys. I'm gonna start out with Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker, it's kind of bounced around since his All-Star game year with the Reds. He played in the Mariners. He's one of those Mariners guys that's who it was. He was one of those guys that the Mariners thought was gonna help out in the outfield and I think they acquired him, within the Eugenio Suarez trade, but they thought it was gonna help out and do that. Didn't live up. They ended up in Milwaukee, was awful in Milwaukee last year, and now he's with the Nationals, and the dude's just hitting incredible. He's like top 5. He's actually 3rd in on base percentage.
Really?
Ranks 3rd on base.
Wow.
base percentage.
439 OBP. That's really good.
He's 15th in average. Slugging, he's up there in slugging, I believe, too. Oh, he's 23rd in slugging. The only thing that doesn't help him is that his expected weighted on base on batting average, he's gotten a little bit lucky. But everything looks great with him. I mean, he has a good walk rate, 13% walk rate. You do want to see those strikeouts go down, but that walk rate ranks up in the top 30, and the strikeout rate is at I just had it up. Fiddle. It's not Joey Gallo who strikes out at 43%, but
No,
he's striking out at a 19 and a half rate, which isn't great.
that's
So
solid. That's solid. No, that's not bad. That's solid.
solid. And I want to give we haven't given this team a lot of credit this year, but let's give credit to the Guardians. I feel like they were a team that you and me were both kind of mixed on, and we didn't know what was going on. One of the guys I want to talk about is Stephen Kwan. I've been a big Stephen Kwan guy ever since he came up in the league. Just great bat to ball discipline and just great just a great plate discipline as well. He's number one right now in batting average at 374, which is crazy.
He has turned it around for sure.
Doesn't walk at 3%, strikes out at 11%, but he's hitting 374. On base percentage is at 394. And then you're not going to get slugging from him. He's just going to get you singles. He's going to be a singles king. Just get on base. But he's doing really well. I mean, like I said, you were kind of mixed on him if he was going to get it together last year. But hey, he got it together. He's doing really well right now.
2 home runs on the season. He only had 5 last year and 6 in his really good rookie season in 22. Maybe the power is sort of coming along.
He's fourth in base running runs above average. So that's pretty good. Ranking up there with the Ronald Acuñas, Mike Trout, Bryce Terrain, and Jarren Duran, the speed demons of the league. So he's doing pretty well. And the next guy I want to give love to is Josh Naylor. Josh Naylor is hitting 329, and he's 6th in ISO. 329 batting average puts him at 17th with an on-base percentage of I just lost it. I don't have it up on me right now. He's not ranking
Naylor for OBP.
Yeah, Naylor. I lost him. Okay, so Josh Naylor is at 400 OBP, which puts him right there at 16th, higher than Freddie Freeman, which is his positional comrade, and Christian Walker, who come closest. The only first baseman probably that is there is Michael Busch, and Michael Busch has been seeing red the whole season.
But 6 home runs for Mr. Naylor already.
Yeah, Mr. Naylor is also 5th in WRC plus, which is your favorite stat, and that he is at 190.
WRC plus and OPS are my 2. I look at right now.
I'm looking at OPS too, and those, like I said, Cleveland's been they're doing really well this year. Been really surprising. I mean, their pitching staff hasn't been that great. With Tristan McKenzie hasn't been pitching well, and other guys haven't been well. But hey, they're doing great. They're hitting the ball. They're putting up runs. You got to watch them last week with the Yankees. You can elaborate on them. They have top closer in the game.
Yeah, so, it's the first place club right now. First place, 16-6. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to switch the subject. So if you had to say something about Cleveland,
I was going to say, did we expect Cleveland to be this good?
I picked them to win the division. I didn't think they were going to be. I thought they were going to win like 85 games, which they very well still might. But I mean, they're 10 games over 500 right now in a weak division.
I'm getting Rays vibes.
Yeah. I think they're going to be in the playoffs, man. I think they might run away with this thing because I haven't been too impressed with Detroit and their bats. Kansas City, yeah, they're starting hot, but I feel like they'll fade. And then Minnesota is just a train wreck, and so is – well, not a train wreck, but they are not playing good ball right now. I worry about them because they have a lot of injuries. And Chicago is just – they're a AAA team. So
Detroit just can't hit. If Detroit had any type of run support, they'd be doing great.
Yeah, totally. They just can't hit.
They just can't hit. They've broken every prospect that's gotten up to the majors, unfortunately.
Yeah. I was going to say Jesse Winker, he signed a 1-year deal, so he will definitely be traded at the deadline. He keeps playing like this.
But I just feel like I kind of feel like it's going to matter. I don't know. What do you consider Nationals Park?
Neutral. Maybe pitcher friendly.
Okay. I feel like the park's going to really matter for Winker. If Winker goes to a very hitter-friendly park, I feel like those numbers would go crazy. Because Great American is so hitter-friendly.
Okay, so this is saying right now, according to StatCast, their park factor is a 103, which is the sixth most hitter-friendly park in baseball. I wouldn't think that, but apparently it is.
What is it? 330 something, 330, 340 out to left, and then it's like 340 to right, something like that. I know center is kind of deep. They got that like garden down center.
Let's
One of
see.
the most. It's one of the most like neutral parks in the Major League Baseball. Like, do I get excited to do I get excited to go visit them, to go to that ballpark? Absolutely not.
No. But they've been playing a ball. And just for the record, T-Mobile Park, the Mariners Stadium, is the most pitcher-friendly park, apparently, alongside Petco.
Hey, I'm not surprised by that. Ronald Acuna hit a nuke and just got stuck in the warning track. No, not Ronald Acuna, Fernando Tatis today. But those are two good. Those are the hitters I got. And then the last pitcher I want to talk about is Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez this year, his spot page is all red. Like you said, another guy who's not a velo guy at 91. He's 13th percentile on velo, averaging out at a 91.4 mile an hour fastball. But the dude drives that sinker on the outside of the plate if you're a righty, inside if you're a lefty, drives a curveball down, four-seamer, leaves it up or it's inside, and then the changeups are just down or inside or outside, depending. If you're a right-handed hitter, he's driving that changeup outside. If you're a left-handed hitter, he's driving that changeup inside with the changeup and also down the middle. He also has a little bit of cutter, but mainly a sinker, four-seam, changeup, and curve guy. So
it's a true 4-pitch, borderline 5-pitch mix.
He has a cutter, but not really. It's a 9%. I mean, it's very difficult for hitters for you to like prepare for with that many pitches. It's like another guy I've been liking to see is Yimi Garcia, the reliever from the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Who has, I think they're talking about a 5-pitch mix, and he just shuts guys down. He's kind of been like their top reliever. But with Ranger, he's pitched great this year. He has a record this year. He's 3-0, 1.73 ERA. I mean, whatever they're doing in Philadelphia with those pitchers, it's working because they've been pitching incredible. And I know they played the White Sox. They feasted also on a Reds team that does strike out. But, I mean, you're 3-0 with a 1.73 ERA with 27 strikeouts. Like, you're doing something right. Like, and your savant page is like he's ground ball pitcher, 92nd percentile. Ball doesn't get up. So, hey.
Philly had a good week. I mean, they played terrible teams, but they swept Colorado and the White Sox. So 6 in a week.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see. What I just hate is that we've already gotten Philadelphia. Philadelphia and Atlanta have done two series at this point, correct?
Yeah. Sorry, just one. They played the first week of the year.
It's not like the Padres. It's not like the Padres and Dodgers that they've pitched around twice. That's just annoying. So it's very hard. Like as we say, it's early, and a lot of times teams dig holes really early in the year, and I just don't like that. It's kind of like in football when you get your divisional games on week 1. Like there's not much you can learn about a team. There's not like, there will be takeaways, but there's a lot of things that go on throughout the season.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get into the injuries, our team of the week, and then the betting segment. It's been some interesting injuries. Chris Bryant, unfortunately, to the injured list with a lower back strain. I don't know. His career might be over, man. I mean, not over, but he was one of the worst players in the league, and then he gets hurt again with a back injury. That's concerning. Francisco Alvarez, we didn't mention this with the Mets. He's out until June with a torn UCL in his left thumb. So he's been great for them this year. That's a tough loss. AJ Puck, shoulder injury to the 15-day IL. That's unfortunate.
He's a Marlins fan Twitter favorite.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen. I've sent you that. Remember I sent you the meme that they have for Marlins Twitter? I'm not going to elaborate on it because it's not podcast appropriate.
I can't remember.
But it's just think about Just think about how the NBA players, they're always like, oh, you're going to go play for the Jung Tigers?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember. Robert Stevenson out for the season with right elbow surgery. That's unfortunate. He was a really good reliever for the Angels. Also, Anthony Rendon to the 10-day IL. He's probably happy about that.
Your annual Anthony Rendon hamstring soft tissue injury.
Yep. Christian Javier, like we said, neck issues, 15-day IL. Frankie Montas left early Sunday, got hit with a comebacker, right forearm bruise, no damage, so that's good. Seiya Suzuki to the IL with an oblique, that's tough. Ozzy Albies 2 to 3 weeks with a toe injury. And then Ricky Tiedemann is on the AAA IL. The Blue Jays prospect underwent an MRI on his left elbow on Thursday. So awaiting the results, but that's concerning. And then we got Max Scherzer is going to make a rehab start on Wednesday. So he's ramping up, which will be welcome in Texas for sure. They need to get some arms back in the fold. But yeah, that's the injury update this week.
Walker Buehler's due back soon. He pitched Thursday. Didn't have to come in.
Guy's been rehabbing for the last 3 seasons, I feel like.
Velo's down, supposedly down from 97-98 to 95-94 on the fastball. So we'll see.
When was the last time he pitched?
21.
His last start.
21.
Was it 21? 2022. 2022. 12 starts in 2022. Just feels like so much longer.
And then he took the year off to rehab because it was late in 22 when he tore his UCL. He had Tommy John.
Yeah. I think it was like mid-ish season. I don't know. He was elite though, man. 4th in Cy Young voting in 21. He was great.
Yeah, you had him on your fantasy team. He had like a 17 strikeout game or something like that.
I mean, he's a Vandy guy. You know, I like those Vandy guys.
You know, you do ride for your Vandy boys. Pause. Okay.
Team of the week.
Catcher, Cal Raleigh. Dude was electric. I don't think we need to go that deep, but he was incredible. If you want statistics, I can give you the statistics.
We don't have to do stats. We can just run through it.
Audible mention, Travis d'Arnaud. Travis d'Arnaud's been hitting bombs. He hit a bomb Friday. He's had like 3 home runs in the past 4 days. Probably one of the league leaders in ISO right now for the week. First baseman, Vinny Pasquantino, after a rough start of the year. I did drop him on my fantasy team, but thankfully I picked him up again. He's done decent. And then that is the Rangers just went yard. Where's that man? I think it's and their catcher Andrew Kisner.
Dang it.
The ex ex Cardinals catcher from last season.
I want to see Wyatt Langford turn it on. He's been terrible.
Yeah, Evan Carter's been terrible. I don't know why our guy Doring picked him up. He hit a home run, but I'm like, am I surprised? No, hasn't done great this year. But back to the thing. Pasquantino, he's the first baseman from Kansas City. Mountcastle gets honorable mention. Second baseman, I feel like your NL starting second baseman will be Ketel Marte. He's been on tear.
Yep.
Turner, again, a guy been on tear for this year. CJ Abrams gave him a run for his money, but Trey was just better by a little bit better metrics. Gunnar Henderson starting to get it together at third base for Baltimore. He's hitting the ball extremely hard. One of the league leaders in exit velo. And then you have Miguel Sano as an honorable mention, which is crazy because the dude was out of the league last year.
Yeah, he's been playing well.
Yeah, he's moving. Like they were talking about on the Red Sox, like he's moving pretty well. Looks like he's lost a little bit of weight, man. Maybe it's that Ozempic or whatever they got him on.
Hey, good for him.
Outfielders, Juan Soto, no introductions needed. Dalton Varsho, you just picked him up. He's been great. You probably picked him up because I put him on the
No, he hit 2 home runs against the Yankees in a game this week, and then I saw he had another one yesterday. I was like, all right, I'll pick him up.
Anthony Santander, again, he's been electric. The whole Baltimore team right now, other than like Jackson Holiday, has been really, really good. So Julio, we talked about him. He's just been hitting singles. And Jordan Westburg, like the freaking 7th and 8th hitters in the Baltimore Orioles lineups are hitting over 300 and hitting at like Colton Cowser is the top 25 guy right now in ISO. And Westburg is he's like in the running for WAR right now. Like I just looked at the number. Like his WRC plus was crazy. Yeah, he's 12th in WRC plus. Like they're gonna have to move some hitters. Like
Yeah, crazy numbers for that team. They're going to be so good for a long time.
right now for pitchers, Tanner Hoke, he had a awesome start. I think the game how was the game like an hour and like 40 minutes?
Yeah, it was the shortest game in a long time.
He pitched like an hour 45 complete game shutout. Boston's
Against
against
Cleveland.
the Guardians. Boston's doing really good with Cutter Crawford, Whitlock, Brian Bello. They're all pitching great.
Swept Pittsburgh on the weekend too.
Yeah, that's big. Castillo gets the honorable second one with an honorable mention to Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray looks really good. I do have issues with Ollie Marmol leaving him in to pitch 95 pitches today after he pitched 70 in Oakland, 70, 75 in Oakland. And they was like, oh, we're just going to pitch you 95. Dude was dealing. He had a 12 strikeout day today and 7 1/3. Like, dude was really good. He got a loss because his team just can't hit. Relievers, Raciel Iglesias had three saves this week. And then you have Reed Garrett, kind of a outside of the scope type of vibe. He did great in relief this week. Pitched like 4 innings of no hit ball, like really, really good. So it's time to bet to glory now. So who do we got for betting this week? Who are you betting on this week?
You want to go to me first?
Yeah, because I'm gonna pick on that right now.
So you know my strategy, and I of fading teams that are traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast and have to play the next day. There aren't any good options early in the week, so the odds for these are not going to be out yet. But I'm going to go with So I have 3 options of teams traveling to the West Coast after playing on the East Coast the day before. I'm going to land on the Padres to win the series against the Philadelphia Phillies this weekend. So the Padres, they are they're not home all week. They play in Colorado, and then they go back home to Philly. That's not that far. Back home to San Diego. It's not that far of a flight. Philly is going from Cincinnati all the way out to San Diego, and they play Thursday afternoon against Cincy in Cincy, and then they go all the way to San Diego, and they play Friday night. The pitching matchups are fun. You got Nola versus Musgrove on Friday. Then you got Dylan Cease versus Ranger Suarez on Saturday, and then Michael King against Christopher Sanchez on Sunday. So, Darvish is not pitching for them, but I think it's arguably the Padres' 3 best pitchers against some of the top arms for Philly. So it's a good pitching matchup, and I'm going to go with the Padres because of the whole travel thing. I'm going to stay on that because I'm 2-0 on it, and we'll see if I get 3-0.
I'm going to hop on that as well this week. I'm struggling.
Oh, wow.
I need that. I'm going to do one my one lock. I'm not going to go to multiple. My one lock. I'm going to take Kansas City over the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were out in San Diego this weekend. They lose a lot of their bullpen. And they're having to travel from San Diego to Kansas City. Really good pitching matchups. They got Kikuchi tomorrow night versus Singer. So the Royals got their ace up tomorrow. Kikuchi, I don't know. We'll see if he's for real. I'm still kind of mixed. He had a great start against the Yankees. He struck out like 10, right? Or 11? You're watching the game. I know you were.
Oh, my God. He was carving us up. He was legit. It was like 10 strikeouts, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still not buying stock in him.
9 strikeouts in his last 2 starts against Seattle and New York, and then he had 7 strikeouts against the Yankees in his first start. He's been legit.
And then Tuesday, it's Waka versus Gosman. Gosman's, you've seen him. Supposedly he's cooked. Waka's pitched pretty well this year, so give me the Royals. So I'm taking 2 out of 3 with the Royals this week. And then Wednesday, it's Yariel Rodriguez, who had his debut last weekend versus Alec Marsh. So I'm gonna ride with the Royals this week. Take 2 out of 3 at Kauffman Stadium. I like that, and I'll sprinkle some money with the Mets. Mets have been playing good ball. They played the Giants. They get Blake Snell on Wednesday. Blake Snell hasn't been great at all, and they got the Severino Webb start on Tuesday, so that's going to be a bullpen game. And tomorrow it's Quintana versus Keaton win. I like them getting tomorrow and Wednesday for sure. What do you think about those? And the
I
Mets,
like
the Mets don't have to travel. They don't have to travel at all. They're on the West Coast. Both teams are on the West Coast. So
yeah, I think riding the Mets right now is not a bad idea. And then KC over you got KC over Toronto, you said? Because
yeah,
of the travel?
travel and then pitching matchups. It's they got the Cuban guy Yariel Rodriguez on Wednesday, and I kind of feel like there's going to be enough tape after two outings that you can actually like concoct a plan and Gosman.
Okay.
Tomorrow's Kikuchi versus Singer.
Yeah, I just think the Blue Jays are kind of meh. So
I do
not a
feel
bad pick. Not a bad pick.
And so now we're going to talk about the series of the week. I've kind of parted out the series this week, and I'll go ahead with the fun series, and you'll tell me what do you think about the fun series for this week. Philadelphia goes to Cincinnati at the start of the week, and then we have Milwaukee going to Pittsburgh. What do you think about those series to start out?
I need to lock in on Milwaukee because they're doing some stuff over there that I like, and they might win that division again. So I'm gonna watch that Milwaukee Pittsburgh series.
Then at the end of the week, Chicago, the Cubs go to Boston, and then Cincinnati goes to Texas, and then Pittsburgh goes to San Francisco on Friday, starting on Friday. What do you think about those three?
Pittsburgh's struggling. They need to get right. Cincy, Texas is a fun one. A lot of young talent in that series. Ellie De La Cruz, by the way, has been great. And then Chicago, Boston. I mean, two classic teams, two classic stadiums, two oldest stadiums in the sport. Cubs. Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Cubs are meh. Cubs are very meh right now.
Yeah, they screwed me, as I said at the start of the pod. It was the Chicago beats Miami weekend. And of course, they don't hold their end of the bargain. They just flamed out.
Yeah.
And then I classify as the house might be catching on fire series, meaning teams that may have to click the panic button real soon. You know, Arizona, St. Louis starting tomorrow. Arizona travels west to east starting tomorrow. And on Tuesday, you have Houston going to the Cubs.
Yeah, Cubs got to get right, man. I might go to one of these games. I'm still haven't decided, but Houston's got to get right in Chicago.
What do you think about the Arizona-Seattle series?
Arizona and San Diego and
no, Arizona, St. Louis. St. Louis, sorry.
I know. I'm just saying those three teams in the NL West have been very disappointing so far. And we'll see.
I mean, I forgot to add this to the injury section, but Merrill Kelly was scratched today with shoulder discomfort, and he had an MRI last night.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So that could be another pitching graveyard. Now, the last section is our competitor series, which I feel like these are teams that we can already see playoff aspirations or that are in contention right now. Toronto, Kansas City, we spoke about. I think Kansas City will win 2 out of 3 at home.
Yeah.
And then starting on Tuesday, Seattle goes to Texas.
That's fun. That's a fun series.
That'll be fun. Seattle's playing at home right now. And then Friday, Dodgers go to Toronto. The Shohei Ohtani series starts on Friday in Canada.
Ohtani actually is flying to Toronto this weekend.
Actually is. Cleveland, Atlanta in Atlanta.
That's a fun one. I think maybe we'll see if Cleveland's legit this week.
Then the Yankees go to Milwaukee on Friday.
Yeah, that's a tough series.
Are you making the drive up? What is it? I-90 or I-80? What is it?
I would, but it's Kayla's graduation weekend, so I can't go.
Oh boy! And then Philadelphia, San Diego.
Maybe Sunday. Philly, San Diego. Yeah, I talked about that one. I got the pods on that one.
So that's the series for this week. I mean, I'm very interested to see what New York does this week versus the Brewers. I feel that's going to be a very good series. I feel like that's a very underrated series. Who are the probables? I'm going to look up probable pitchers before we hop off and do that. So the probables for Friday, the 26th, are not listed. But if
I have it on ESPN, Heel versus Ray, Colin Ray, and then Saturday is going to be Rodon versus Joe Ross, and then Sunday is going to be Stroman versus Wade Miley.
What was Saturdays again?
Rodon versus Ross.
It'll be interesting.
Yankees should hit those guys.
They should, but you know how Brewer pitching development is.
They're one of those voodoo magic teams.
Voodoo Magic teams. I mean, I feel like the Yankees had a tough week. They should have won that Tuesday game that they lost 4-5 versus the Blue Jays. So yeah, so they got 4 games versus Oakland this week, so they should sweep. If they don't sweep, we're gonna have an emergency podcast real soon.
Gotta win them all. They play tomorrow afternoon. I don't know why.
At one.
Game.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, it'll be some good baseball this week. Apple TV sucks this week. Just
What
really
is it?
bad. It's awful. I looked at it and I was just like, oh my God, they really don't want me to stay home on Friday night. They really don't want me staying home being
Cardinals, Mets, and oh my goodness gracious, Rays, White Sox.
That's what I said. They don't want me staying in.
Oh boy, that's rough. And then Sunday night baseball is there's 2 Sunday ESPN games
because they play in Mexico City. It's the Rockies Houston series in Mexico City. So hey, it's awesome because Houston cannot pitch, and hopefully Colorado can hit some nukes. So both teams cannot pitch. So maybe we get a 15-17 game. Maybe we get some football, 17-14 score.
And then the traditional Sunday night baseball is Cubs versus Red Sox. So
yeah, and then the Cubs actually do go get the Yankees at home this year.
Yeah, it's like Labor Day weekend around there, so I'm definitely going to one of those.
It is Labor Day weekend. They're all 2:20 start games.
Yes, sir. I will be there. Not all of them, but one of them.
All right. So you got any remarks this week?
No. Fun pod coming tomorrow night though. NFL mock draft with Joe. It's gonna be a big one.
We do, and also just keep tabs for next week if William decides to make the trip up to Milwaukee. We might have to push that pod back, that Sunday pod. So
yeah, might be a Monday, but we'll see.
We'll see. But keep in touch. Hopefully everybody has a good week. Get after it. Hopefully get your ducks in a row, make some money, and watch some baseball.
Thank you. That was inspiring. Yeah, appreciate it. That was fun as always. Be back tomorrow for a very fun pod, like I said, and we'll catch you on that one. Peace out.